Welcome to the wonderful world of dance, bringing you exclusive interviews with top dancers and choreographers and reviews of the world's best companies across the globe. You can find lots more on our website at thewonderfulworldofdance.com.
Hi, this is Savannah Saunders from The Wonderful World of Dance, and today we're discussing Life of a Freelancer with dancer and choreographer Lizzie Gough. Lizzie's freelance career has been extensive with a wide variety of incredible projects, including as a TV judge, a TV presenter, loads of dance projects, choreographer, and many of you might know her from her So You Think You Can Dance, where she came running up in third position. She's had loads of roles in film and TV and theatre. She's a mentor, creative director, and trustee to a number of dance companies in the UK as well. Her recent project sees her both as dancer and assistant choreographer to the critically acclaimed winning choreographer Kate Prince on her latest production, Message in a Bottle, which is an amazing production coming to Sadler's Wells at the Peacock Theatre and features music by Sting. So let's find out all about what's happening. Hi, Lizzie. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I see you're in the studio. You've been rehearsing today, haven't you?
Yeah, we're in the final week of production week, so we've just been kind of doing dress runs for the show. We still haven't done a run of Act 2 yet. We were supposed to have done that yesterday, but that's how the show business goes. You just have to be patient and make sure it works out. Safety first.
So tell me, when did you first get into dance yourself?
When I was very young, I was a very hyperactive kid. So my mum took my brother dancing. I actually had a pair of football boots before I started dancing. But I was just hyperactive. So my mum just took me to a dance class. And then from that day, I never looked back. It just was always something I enjoyed doing. And even to be doing it as a career, it's fun. It's just absolute fun.
So you just froze there a little bit on my recording there, Lizzie. So you were saying that your mum took you to class and you actually had some football boots before you put on your ballet slippers. Tell me about the training that you've had that has led to this incredible career.
So I started at a local dance school, obviously just for fun. I did not see myself being a dancer at all. And then I remember reading a magazine. It might have been like Dancing Times or something like that, because we never had internet back in our days. And I just saw a picture and I was like, wow, I really want to do that. And there was a few colleges. So I applied to them, which was like London Studios, Northern Contemporary, I think Northern Ballet, Lane Theatre Arts, all those lot. And then I managed to get into all of them, but I chose Lane Theatre Arts just because actually it was closer to my parents. And I was 16 when I first left. So my parents were very much like, you can go here and come home on weekends and stuff like that. So, they were very worried that I was very young and I went to college just away from them. But it was the best training. And it's just really nice. So I'm more musical theatre based and technical. But obviously in the industry, I'm known as a hip hop dancer or a street dancer. I don't want to say hip hop.
And once you sort of went through that training, tell me about the horizon that sort of was there for you as a dancer. What were you looking towards at that point in your life?
Well, when I went to Lanes, for me, it was just the discipline and having a focus and having something to work towards. I wasn't necessarily thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to go on the West End, I'm going to do this. It was just the training in classes every day. And I never missed a day of college. Like, my parents had to pay for it. So I always made sure I was there every day. Even if I was really sick, I was like, nah, I'm going. And I worked my butt off and I'm so happy for it. And to have that goal of just trying to be the best I can be, because there was other people that were way better than me. But for me, I used it as inspiration. And then that I just found my own confidence and my own style. So I'm still trying to find it now. Like when we're doing Message in a Bottle, it's nice to go back to my training again and actually use it. And a lot of people are quite shocked because they're like, you did ballet and you did tap and you do this. I'm like, yeah, that's my, I did that 15 years ago. So it's really nice and refreshing to bring back those memories now in the show that I'm doing.
So tell me about the career that you have forged and those sort of early days where you were, looking to become a full-time professional dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Were you thinking that you wanted to have a sort of multifaceted career as a freelancer, or were you thinking that what were your sort of thoughts?
When I left college, I don't know, it was like for me, when I left college, it was kind of a whirlwind. I never really got jobs in musical theatre for some reason. I think my singing's terrible. So it just didn't really happen for me. But I remember one student, he's now an actor in America, doing really well, but he was like, Lizzie, come to Pineapple Dance Studios and we can learn a bit of street dance. So I was like, okay. So we snuck during our third year of college and went into London, got the train, did a class, and then came back. And for me, it really opened my eyes up that the industry is so big. So then when I left, I just kept training. I went to Pineapple Studios when I left college because I wasn't really working as a musical theatre person. And even though it was hard, I just made sure that, nope, as long as I keep dancing. And then I met new people and I found people that I really could relate to. And then I remember I walked past a breakdance class. This is terrible. And obviously you see guys in there spinning on their heads and on their backs. And I was like, wow, this is cool. So then I went in and obviously they could see I was trained. So they really started helping me. And then that's actually how I managed to get my breaking foundations, and then went into the breaking side of things, and then went to locking classes with Jimmy Williams. So that's how I kind of then seeped into the commercial industry, as we say. So yeah, it's kind of strange because my best friends are still in musical theatre, and one of them's a Matilda as the dance captain and all that. So we have the same lives, but very different. But it's great.
And what does the commercial dance scene look like here in London, in the UK, for sort of listeners and viewers around the world? Mm-hmm. What does
the commercial industry in London is actually very open to new talent. Back in the day, it was very, I don't know what the word is, it was very hard to get into these circles. Whereas I think now, because of social media, it really is based on talent, and I'm not saying just looks. Unfortunately, that is part of the game still. But I've really noticed the growth of the English or the UK kind of industry, and I actually admire it. And for me, it always keeps me on my toes because there's always new talent, and it's just inspiring. And I love it because a lot of choreographers are open to new ideas and new styles and trying new things. So I think the UK are great. And like a lot of them then go to America or go abroad and work, but really that it's just as strong as it is anywhere else in the world.
And what does your typical day look like for you, or your typical week maybe, with this crazy career that you've got?
Well, the life of a dancer really varies. Like some days I do absolutely nothing. However, I always keep myself busy. So if it was a day off, I would normally kind of get up in the morning. I don't like to waste my day. So I'll get up in the morning. I would normally train yoga in the mornings, maybe, or late evenings, just to keep my fitness up. And then during the day, I'll try and do classes, just to always keep in the loop with things. But then if I don't have a day off, then I genuinely, like for today, I would get up, we come straight to rehearsals. We do a company warm up every day. So for half an hour, or on Wednesdays, we have a ballet bar, which is amazing. And we do that 6 days a week. So then we finish about 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And then, I start my day again. And I try and do yoga in the evenings, straight after rehearsals, for myself, just because I've had many injuries. So for me, I always have to keep on top of things. And I train to maintain, sometimes not to gain, so I can be at my top peak for my work.
And tell me about some of these wonderful projects that you have been involved in over the years. I mean, there's obviously, Kate Prince's ZooNation's Revolution. Yep. There's Blazer's a huge lineup, and then of course you've got some, Swan Lake Reloaded in there, and Nutcracker as well. Tell me about this sort of work of yours.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, I think, with my work. I think things started kicking off. So when I left college, I didn't get work for the first 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And then I just kept training, and I did one audition, and I managed to get involved with the choreographer Kim Gavin, or he's more of a creative director now. So I did Take That's tour, and that was my first ever big tour. And then I went into So You Think You Can Dance. And at the time, one of my best friends was like, you should do this, it's fun. And I really didn't want to go. For me, it was like, nah, I'm not into that kind of thing. But again, that was an amazing platform, because it really trained me up to everything that I'm doing now. And from there, that's when I got to meet Kate Prince, because she was the first choreographer I had for a street dance routine. And then she used me for her show Some Like It Hip Hop, which was brilliant. Like, I got to play the lead, Jojo, and that, for me, that's the hardest show we've ever done. And we brought it back this year, which is 7 years later, or 10 years since we first did it. And that was hard. And I played the same character, and also I was a resident choreographer. So then I taught everybody the whole show again. So that was a milestone. And yeah, just shows have led on to other shows. I had the choreographer, Frederick, well, we call him Benke. He's based in Sweden. He was part of Bounce, which they revolutionized, it's not even a word. They revolutionized the kind of hip hop theatre kind of thing. And he did Swan Lake Reloaded and Nutcracker. So I managed to work with an international cast. My jobs have kind of bounced, and that's what I love about this industry, is you'll do one job and it will lead to another, and you never know what you're going to do next. And that's why sometimes even doing Message in a Bottle, at first I didn't want to do this. I did the research and development, and I fractured my back, and I was like, I just don't think I can do this, Kate. And then when we did the first workshop with Sting watching, I was like, yeah, I'm in. I'm going to do this. And I've never looked back. You know, sometimes you hit bumps on the way, but I think the best thing is just to never give up and find another way to make it work. So, yeah.
Well, let's talk about Message in a Bottle. You just mentioned there that you were, performing in front of Sting, whose music is being obviously featured.
Yeah.
Tell me about, what has it been like? Because your role is both dancer and the assistant choreographer.
Yeah. Message in a Bottle, Kate had an idea, just as we all do, and she was like, oh, I fancy doing some Sting's music. And, she already is in kind of partnership with Saddle as well. And that's how we did some like hip hop and stuff. But yeah, he came and watched one of our R&Ds, which is a research and development. So we did about 4 numbers for him. And yeah, he absolutely loved it. And he was kind of blown away by the way that we can make dance still relate to music. And I think for him to see it in real life was really, truly special. And I'm so glad. And then we did it the year after. And then, now we're actually in full swing of this show. I think it's going to be epic. It's a process, but I think any dancer that will come and see the show will be inspired, because every single person on that stage has an individual role. No one person does the same thing. So all I can say is good luck to whoever teaches this show again. But it's a very intense show, but every person has their own special place. And that's what I love about Kate's work is, it's just amazing, and you have to come and see it. The story is very deep. It's a very interesting subject. The story is kind of based on the refugees that have had to leave their countries. I'm not going to say which specific countries, because it's actually happened in many places in the world. And that's the beautiful thing with dance. It's not a cheesy number. It's not a, hey, this is us dancing. It's actually got such a meaningful story. And I didn't realize how many amazing songs Sting has. So I think when you come to watch it, it will really be a roller coaster. And the stage crew and the production are brilliant. Like the stuff they're creating is phenomenal. And yeah, I'm just excited. I can't wait for tomorrow. Hopefully we get our first dress run, and then we can really feel the feeling of the show. So yeah.
And how do you sort of swing from being the dancer in the show and also the artistic, sorry, I keep saying artistic, I keep meaning to say assistant choreographer. How does that work?
Yeah, being to I'm assisting Kate Prince. So a lot of the time, she has so much information in her head, and many a time she's just kind of like, I need steps that reflect this kind of feeling, or I need movement that can help this, or what would look clean, we have to jump in and out a lot. And we're very lucky. We're doing a new system called alternative casting. So it's not just like, one of my characters is Ambi, but it's not just my role. I actually share it with a couple of other people. So each person has a couple of roles. I only luckily have one, because obviously I've been assisting, but a lot of people, they have 2 or 3 characters they're doing. So it's been good, because then I can jump out, have a look, and then go back in. And yeah, it's been nice to bring back the choreography that we did from the research and development weeks as well. So, but there's quite a lot of us as a creative team that are on board. We also have the associate choreographer, Lucas. So he's fascinating. Well, he's fascinating too, but he's really, really good, and I've learned so much from him as well.
And you mentioned before that you're still sort of trying to find your own personal style, or that it's constantly developing. Tell me about some of the other work that you have choreographed. Have you done other pieces? Yeah. I sometimes forget what I've done. No, I did a couple of like music videos and stuff like that, but then I've been quite lucky to go more into TV work, and I've been working a lot in Holland. So I did my 4th year doing a TV show called Dance, Dance, Dance. And at first we were kind of recreating music videos, but actually the last year that we just had, we could do our own, choreography to some iconic tunes. And it's for me, it's like, I love to try different things. But I love to do like the old classic kind of dancing as well. So I love to do my tap. I love to do more partner work. I love to do that, but then I love it when we get like the real contemporary pieces, but then also I can do like the locking pieces. So if it's a funk number, I can do that. So my style is very it depends what mood I'm in, and it depends what the music's saying. I don't have a particular style, which is a good thing, but also for me sometimes it's a bad thing, because if people say to me, can you teach a workshop, what style do you want to do, I'm like, I don't know. It depends what mood I'm in. I might give you a locking routine, or I might just give you a kind of contemporary floor routine. I don't know. So it's interesting, and I'm still finding my niche. And also due to, like I've said before, like injuries, sometimes a thing that I used to always do, sometimes I can't. So then I'm like, okay, how can I be a clever dancer or clever performer if I can't do that now? How can I try this? So it's good. I'm always testing myself and keeping myself on my toes. And the injuries that you've mentioned, it's always a challenge for dancers. How did it affect you, and sort of how did you, I guess, recover and come back?
Well, the first big injury I had is I fractured my back. I fractured my L5 and I tore something. I'm really bad at anatomy. But I just remember being quite a lot of pain, and I just then had to rest. But actually I did a lot of Pilates, and I did a lot of aqua swimming and exercises like that. And then just before we started messaging a bottle, from when I did some like hip hop, I've torn both my meniscuses and my knees, which was super painful. And I thought I was going to have to pull out of this show because it was very bad. And obviously production, I'm a bit of a liability, but I've had 2 injections, like cortisone. And it's a miracle. And I've just been training every day and keeping myself strong. And it's just about training to maintain for myself now, and just keeping my body on top form, because sometimes you get asked in the industry, oh, can you perform now, and you're not quite warm and stuff. So you can't take anything for granted. And it's true, your body's number one, and you really have to look after your body, but also your mind too. You have to really stay focused and look out for yourself and look out for each other as well.
Yeah, because you're not in a company where there's structure and all that support and the medical and all the
exactly.
Dance masters, ballet masters, whatever. You're really responsible for your own development, really, and you've got to worry about your career and your jobs, your auditions. How do you manage all of that and stay as you say, sort of, fully on form, you must have so many things to do.
Yeah, well, I think that's why I'm always quite busy. I'm always training, or I'm always trying to go to classes and I'm always trying to educate myself every day, and I'm always trying to make sure that I know as much as I can, best of my knowledge, and learn from each other. Like, I asked the other dancers, like, well, what do you do to make sure you stay fit? Or how do you do this? Oh, let me try and train this, because, everything's always evolving, and you're always evolving. Your body's always changing. And the industry is always changing. So for me, it's just to change with it. Like, there's no point fighting against it. However, I do believe firmly that it's always good to learn the foundations. So it's good to go back to the roots. So I've really enjoyed doing our ballet classes, and Lucas has been leading that, and he's really been on our cases just with a normal tendu or a simple plie to watch our alignment. And I'm like, yeah, this is true, because when you leave college, that bubble's gone. You have to look after yourself, and you can't cheat. You can find ways to make things work, but you can't cheat, because when you do, knee injuries happen. And then you think, oh, what happened? So I think it's just always be open to learn and never give up. I know it sounds cheesy, but just never give up.
Well, your role as mentor that I was reading about as well, and you started giving some advice there. What sort of advice, or what sort of things do you say to the dancers that you are mentoring?
A lot of the time it's don't worry about what other people think, and especially because when I did So You Think, sometimes as well, you get really into your head, or when you start new productions, you think, oh, they said that to me. But sometimes I'm like, no, they're just saying what's on their mind. Look into it, take it as I don't say compliment, but take it as something to take, and then learn from it and think from every angle why they would have said that, I just think always be willing to learn. That's my main thing when in this industry, and when I'm mentoring people, is just to know your limits and know your restrictions and know how far you can push yourself, to then find that barrier and then push a little bit further for you, because no one dances exactly the same. No one. And that's the beauty of all the productions I've worked in. No one's the same as me. I'm not the same as them. They're not the same as each other. But you can find that middle ground balance where you can dance the same as each other and compromise and make it work. And you just have to be smart. You have to be a smart dancer and an intelligent dancer. You don't have to be the best. Obviously, we do want to be the best, but you want to be a smart, intelligent dancer, and that will make you the best.
And with all the different types of projects that are out there, are you auditioning a lot yourself? Do you find that for freelancers are, sort of on that sort of treadmill a little bit, or is it different?
I find it's a bit harder. Like I'm 35 now, so for me, I don't tend to have to audition as much now. But in my 20s, I went to so many auditions, turned away from so many auditions. And I think now as I got older, and I've loved every single one of them, because I've taken something away, and I have great memories, bad memories. I have every memory. But now I think because of the work I've done, I've managed to get something, because you meet someone, which I know it's such a shame, because sometimes it's like, oh, who not what and it is true. But also that's why for me, I never take it for granted, and I make sure that I deserve that place that I get if I get a job. But if I do audition, it's mainly for commercials, like actual TV commercials and stuff like that. Then I go to an audition, because you have to go to a casting. You have to do the whole look at my hand profiles for the face, and it is mainly about your image. So I do like to still do those types of auditions. But now I'm moving more into the creation process and more of off-stage type of dancing than being in front. So I don't have to tend to audition a lot. But yeah, I would still do an audition if I needed to, but I've done quite a lot of work, and I'm really happy with where I am. So now for me personally, I just want to keep progressing and go more into the production side of shows and productions and stuff.
And is there some sort of projects that you're working on at the moment? What's next for you after the Message in a Bottle?
Oh, this is a hard one. I've had many projects come up, and a lot I've had to turn down because it was during this process. So for once in my life, I've actually had to say no to a lot of jobs and then just blank it out and not think about it. And this will take me up until till June. And also for me, I like to travel. So I'm actually being a little bit selfish in my career. And for once, I'm actually I say for once, I've been traveling last year as well. But whenever I get a moment, I try and venture the world and go to another place that I've never been to learn their culture, the way that they move, the what they eat and stuff like that. Because I feel it's very important to make myself a people person and understand different cultures and different way of people living. Because it really helps when you're in a working situation. And like, for instance, when I was working in Holland, it was very hard because yes, they speak English, but their first language is Dutch. So I get used to working in foreign countries. I've worked in Russia, and I've just learned about like body language and how to communicate with different people. So yeah, this year I'm also doing a little tick list of traveling.
That sounds very exciting. And yeah. I noticed as well with your sort of roster of roles, TV presenter and dance judge. Yes. Tell me about that.
So after I just say, you think you can dance, obviously I was working a lot with BBC, and then we got, they have another channel called CBBC. So I still had to audition for this as well. And I managed to get the role as a judge on this TV show. And it was for children who do street dance. And they were brilliant. So for me, it was really nice and inspiring and stuff. So I got to work alongside some other judges. And then from that, I went into presenting for kids. So like how to do street dance, how to do a certain step, and how to go into different stuff. So that's how kind of my career ended up into judging and presenting. But also I judge for UDO, which is another kind of competition kind of thing. So it's interesting because for me, it really educates me of how big the industry is. And how talented a lot of people are.
So then finally, just back to Message in a Bottle, what do you hope that the audience will take away from the performance?
That's a hard one. If people come to, when people come to see Message in a Bottle, I think for me, I want them to take the realness of this story and how beautiful dance can really project a story and how it can really influence people's lives. Dance is not just dance. It's not just 5, 6, 7, 8, but the music and the blend of the dance that these guys have created. I think people are going to go home thinking about a lot of things and not just how, I don't know how to say it. I just hope people go home feeling inspired and not just going home going, oh, that was a lovely show. I really want people to go home and talking about it and questioning things in their lives that will also reflect it in the future.
Well, every time I've seen one of Kate Prince's work, I've gone away bouncing down the street, and I love the idea of tackling quite an important social issue, really, and actually delving into the individual stories that are really necessary to be told. I love that idea that she's doing that, and you're doing that. So for listeners, just thank you very much. So the listeners and viewers, make sure you get to Sadler's Wells at the Peacock Theatre and see Message in a Bottle. And also, you must follow Lizzie. So let me give you all the details. So for tickets for the shows, go to sadlerswells.com, and it's running from the 6th of February to the 21st of March, which is quite an impressively long run. It's brilliant. And check out more of Lizzie at her website, lizziegough.com. That's GOUGH.com. And follow on Insta, Lizzie, LIZZIE.TOUGH, Lizzie.gough. Thank you so much, Lizzie. I'll let you get back to your rehearsal.
Don't forget to subscribe. We've got some incredible interviews coming up with principal ballerinas and renowned choreographers. We love dance and ballet, and we hope you'll love us. Join us on Facebook and Twitter.